Hello, would you like to know how you can automate your tests using QF Test? Then let's have a look at the main features of QF Test now. So we start with the UI of QF Test itself. As you can already see, all test cases will be created and modified in a graphical tree view. So there are graphical representations for test cases, for test steps, for graphical mouse clicks, or even checks to verify your results. That graphical tree view also supports advanced control structures like loop iterations or if conditions, as well as utilizing reusable procedures and variables. More on those will be shown later on that video. But how to create a test case now? The simplest way creating test cases is using the so-called capture replay approach. This means we will record the required test steps with the QF Test recorder. If necessary, we can modify those recordings. And finally, we can replay those test steps again. Starting the recording works via pressing the Start Record button on the QF Test toolbar. Then we switch to the test application and perform the necessary steps for our test case. In my case, I select a vehicle and then I grant 5% discount to me. As last step of my test case, I would like to create a checkpoint in order to verify the calculation of the price. So I would like to know whether the discount is included to the price. Therefore, I press the green check button on the QF Test toolbar again, which brings me to the QF Test check recording mode. Then I go back to the test application, I select the field to check, in my case the final price, then I open the context menu via the right mouse click and I get a list of built-in checks provided by QF Test in order to check properties of the recently clicked text field. In my case, I select text now. As I have recorded all of my necessary steps, I stop the recording via the stop recording button, and as a result of my recordings, I get a sequence below the extras containing all the performed steps in a graphical manner. In order to create a test case now, I select the topmost test suite node, then I insert a test case via the menu, I specify a meaningful name, I confirm that, then I select the recorded sequence, I specify a meaningful name there as well. And then I take the sequence and move it up to the test case via drag and drop. As my test case should be used as a regression test case, having the same preconditions every time, I need to reset my application before I can really rerun the test. So I need to deselect the vehicle and set the discount back to 0. Fortunately, there is a feature in my application exactly for that purpose. So I record that action now, as seen before. So I start the recording, I trigger the reset action in my application, I go back to QF Test, stop the recording, I get a new sequence under extras containing the mouse clicks, I call that sequence reset, and I move it at the beginning of my test case. So the same procedure as I have done before. So I'm ready to run the test case now. I would like to run the created test case and the second test case which I have already created. The second test case will provide an error message due to demonstration purposes. I select the topmost test suite node and press Start Test Run on the QF Test toolbar. Both test cases will be executed quite fast. At the end of the test execution, a dialog will pop up telling me that an error occurred. Once again, this error has been introduced due to demonstration purposes. In the right bottom corner of the QF Test window, I also see the execution result showing 2 test cases being executed, one test case failing and another one passing. The button Show Run Log allows me to open the run log of the previous test run. The QF Test Run Log contains any executed test steps and presents them again in a graphical manner. Here we see that the first test case passed and the second test case was failing due to demonstration purposes, and that's why it's marked by a red square. In order to find the error message very fast now, I can use the toolbar button Find Next Error. Now QFTest jumps to the error message, and there I can see that there is something wrong with showing the final price, because we expected $0, but we got something with $19,099. Besides the textual message, QFTest also creates screenshots of any desktops of the test system as well as of the involved windows of the application, and those screenshots were taken at the moment once the error occurs. As that run log contains all details of the previous test run, it's also possible to create a simple overview report via a menu action. So I can create an overview report either in HTML, XML, or even in the JUnit format. The JUnit format allows me to integrate those reports to any continuous integration tool like Jenkins later. I will create an HTML report now, so I confirm the dialog. And that's the HTML report. At the left-hand side, we see details about the test run, like the current system name or the operating system. And in the middle, we see the mandatory pie chart showing the failing and passing test cases. Then we see the overall result in a textual presentation. And the lower we get, the more details we can find, like the executed test cases, an overview of the errors, showing the error message, including links to the screenshots of the application and the desktops. And at the bottom we see the details of the test case. Again, there we see the error message, including the screenshots. Now we have seen a full cycle of using QFTest. We have recorded test steps, made a test case out of it, triggered the test execution, opened the detailed run log, and even created an HTML overview report. By the way, triggering the test execution as well as creating the run logs and reports can also be applied unattendedly via the so-called batch mode, which allows a seamless integration of QFTest to any continuous integration tools like Jenkins or TeamCity. What else to tell you about the QFTest features? The graphical tree editor also supports the usage of control structures like if-else conditions or iterating steps via loops. Furthermore, you can even work with the try-catch construct. In addition, you can inject so-called script nodes to your tests. Using such script nodes allow you to implement any action you want, either in the scripting languages Python, Groovy, or JavaScript. In such a script, you are allowed to access the graphical objects and access their properties, or you can even perform complex operations like comparing files and so on. QFTest also supports the modularization concept, so you can create reusable procedures to share test steps in between test cases. And there we can also see a use case how to use variables in your test cases in order to manage your test data. It's also possible to read test data from external data sources like Excel files or databases in order to implement the concept of data-driven testing. Besides the simple ways to create and modify test cases and the great capabilities to analyze test results via the run log and reports, there is one more outstanding feature of QFTest. It is the detection algorithm of graphical objects, which is called component recognition. Every graphical component is recognized independently, and the smart component recognition algorithm takes technical attributes like IDs or associated labels into account. This algorithm works for any supported technology like Java applications, web applications, or PDF testing. You can even influence that recognition algorithm and adapt it to your specific needs of your application using scripts. All features which I have shown you now and even more are described in the QFTest manual, which you can easily open via the menu, or you can even read it on the web page of QFTest. Summarizing the content of that video, QFTest offers a simple way to create, edit and run test cases, a clear and detailed reporting of test results, lots of ways to deal with test data or to control the test flow. A smart approach to recognize graphical objects reliably, and an extensive documentation. Don't waste time and try QFTest for your project now. Go to www.qfs.de, download QFTest there and request a 4-week valid trial license.